They want stuff that's observable. So in November of last year, I spent some time in South Africa, and we were over there doing some work with Virgin Unite, and Taddy Fletcher runs the Maharishi Institute, which is a university in Johannesburg that provides university business education for $2 a day, but the participants don't pay. So typically the participants are coming from very poor environments in Soweto and places like that, and where they might earn less than 100 Rand a month as a family, which I think is about $10, they do their business degree there, and now Accenture Consulting in South Africa only takes its graduate program students from the Maharishi Institute. And they typically come out of this after a 4-year program. There's a 95% placement rate, and they immediately go to about 3,000 Rand a month, and in a heartbeat you've moved a family out of poverty. And then their sibling will often go, and then another sibling. And Taddy's just an extraordinary individual, but he can't explain what he's doing. So he gets like sponsors, but he just can't get them in big enough numbers. And Branson said to him, if you could bottle this, we'd make billions, right? So there was about 10 of us. So he is the most extraordinary person. So there's about 10 of us, spent about 4 days with him, and he is exactly who you think he is. So refreshingly, if any of you have met him, and people do all the time because he's he's reasonably accessible, but he is exactly who you think he is, which is not always the case when you meet people. What is really interesting is he's not that smart. And so everybody should be able to do what he's done, And we were talking about this, and Pride and Purpose is a part of their business, and we said, how could we explain Pride and Purpose so that sponsors, because they need big money, could get it really fast? And so we built this model. This is a Genius model. The Genius model is our flagship model. We can describe a whole company in a single model, in this model. It's currently been used in about 15 countries and in more than 5 languages around the world, and it's made hundreds of millions of dollars worth of sales. We built a Genius model for Austal ships. Their average sale is somewhere between $50 and $109 million. We built a Genius model for sustainment, which is what they do when they support a Navy vessel in battle. But Pride and Purpose do 3 things in the South African community: fresh water, education, and jobs. And they do jobs by planting businesses in the villages that locals run. Typically the locals, literacy may be a problem, they have no business experience, but there's things there worth selling, they just don't know how to get it started. And so Pride and Purpose tries to plant these businesses in these villages all over South Africa. So we built a Genius model for them. And the Genius model goes a little bit like this. This is all about hope for the future. Choreography is critical when you deliver a model. There was a lot of choreography in what I did with Vicky. I don't know if you kind of realise it all, but there was a lot of choreography going on in terms of the conversation with Vicky. So we would say, if I was presenting to a bunch of sponsors who could be donors for Pride and Purpose, let's say you're a bunch of sponsors, I'd be saying the 3 big issues to lift entire communities out of poverty is water, education, and jobs. Would you agree? You'd be the sponsors. Let's see how this goes. Would you agree? Yes. Yeah. So this technique I use a lot I call questions. And so I say something and it sounds like I'm waiting for a response from you, which probably means I am. And then you could just actually respond. And that would make me a lot more comfortable, right? And it will work way better. Okay? So the 3 big issues are water, education, and jobs. If we could create businesses in the communities, it would change everything. Would you agree? Yeah, thank you. So, but this is actually about giving the communities hope for the future. That's really what this is about. And if we can give them hope for the future, we need 3 things to make that happen. We need commerce. We need a spark of commerce in the business. We need the community to participate. We need the community to feel like they own this thing. And then we need connections to stakeholders like yourselves who are in a position to be able to support that. Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah. Any of those 3 things important, do you think? Commerce, community, and connection. Yes. Yeah? So if we think about commerce and connection, that really is about partnerships. It's actually about moving away from people kind of being disinterested in this and instead being all in on it. Really actually buying in and going, we're going to make this happen. On the other side of commerce, is education. We need to move the people in the communities from hopeless to hopeful. And if we can get people to be all in, and if we can educate, we can build commerce. Is that true? Yeah, totally. And on the other side is engagement. There's a lot of mistrust in the communities. But if we can move the communities from mistrust to trust, and we give them education, the community participation will eventually drive this. And on the other side of that, if we can get real engagement and we have partnerships, what we have is really strong connections between the community and other people that can help. Is that resonating for you? Yeah. So these three things are levers, and around the outside of those levers are 3 accelerators on each lever that really are the things that drive that. So partnerships, firstly, are about finding people who are in a position to play a role as a partner, people like yourselves. It's about expressing what commitment might look like and how they could actually make a difference, and then how collaboration would work on this thing. And that's partly why we're here today. We really want to walk through what that would look like. In terms of education, it starts with skills audit. There are some amazingly talented people in these communities, and no one's ever bothered to look at what they're talented at. But if you don't let people play to their talent and their strengths, it's always hard work. So we actually want these businesses in the community to play to the talents and the strengths that they're good at and that they enjoy doing, because then work becomes play. The second thing we need to be able to do then is give them some business education. That's fundamentally what they need help with. So how do you actually sell to a customer, manage the money and all those sorts of things? And then there's a whole lot of personal development behind this, who they are as people and their identity and their sense of self. If we can get those 3 things done, we really can move people from hopeless to hopeful. On the other side of it, we just need to get out there and listen. Too many people have gone to these communities and told them what they have to do instead of listening. And so we've got local community representatives that are out there listening all the time. We need to empower the local communities that they're going to be running the business, and then we need to support them. So we're not looking for a handout from you that gets used up and we come back for more. We're looking for a kickstart from you to get the other 2 circles going. Who's in? That's the genius model, and it's that fast. Now we can bottle Taddy's University in one of those. In fact, we did roughly over a Zoom call, and he went to New York and picked up a ton of sponsors. I had a Zoom call this morning with one of our clients in the US, and we normally unpack these models. There's 4 primary selling models. We normally unpack them in 3 2-hour Zoom calls. So we can unpack an entire business in 6 hours. And the first model is a model we call the pre-frame, and it's about building by attention. So the client that I was on the Zoom call with this morning, him and his team, we built their pre-frame model Monday. We haven't built the other 3 models. And he spoke to a client yesterday about the pre-frame model and closed a $100,000 sale. We had another client, a financial advisor. This stuff works gangbusters with financial advisors. We had another client, a financial advisor in the US, and we built his genius model, and he used it for the first time and closed the client on a $30,000 planning process and then ongoing investment strategies after that. Here's the real secret about about models, right? You don't even have to remember the stuff in them. A great model is geometry first. The shape always tells a story. So if you think about that shape is balance. It's balance and it's structure and it's organisation and it's order, and it gives you tremendous opportunity.